Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Brian's GNetik V glove review. So this review is going to be a little bit different than what I've done in the past with kind of Brian's gear and gear where it's like a new line. I don't have a 4 anymore, so I can't talk about like the changes from this to the 4, unfortunately, and I couldn't get a 4 to do a video on this. So normally we would have a video comparing the GNetik line to the Optik line separate from the actual review line, but we'll go over the differences in this one specific because I can't compare the old to the new for this glove. But with that said, this will have all the usage of this glove as well and like a full review of there and while at the same time like comparing side by side for this, but we'll get this one out of the way before kind of anything else. Also, before everything is said and done, this is obviously my custom glove. This is a set that Brian's lent me. It is a demo. I did a review on the blocker as well as the pads, so you can check those out in the description and at the end of this video. This one is obviously just on the glove, so we're going to talk about that. There is some differences between these two gloves, so I'll cover that as well once we jump into this. But before we talk about anything else, if you want to support the channel and you live in the United States, check out the links in the description to Pure Hockey and Pure Goalie. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback, helps support the channel so I can keep doing more videos like this. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out the links in the description to Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Again, everything through all those links always comes back into the channel so I can keep making more content. So to begin on these two gloves, we'll get this one out of the way really quick. This is a Pro Palm. This is a game ready glove. Obviously the tees are different. We have an anchor tee, which is their really tiny, thin one piece tee right there with skate lace pocket. This is, I'm assuming what is stock is just their double tee with a nylon cord. So the difference on this one is this does have every single finger stall without a little loop over here to pull tight. Now, what I actually prefer is the index finger and the pinky finger to be in the same stall. But Brian's actually, I believe, made mine wrong, which I didn't notice until doing this video. So it does have the index, middle, ring, and then pinky. But this thumb, this little pinky loop right there is the custom part on here. Normally I like these two to be together. But honestly, even with this stall put in there, because this loop is in here, I don't mind it at all. And I like that a lot. I find it just holds my pinky in place and my pinky like doesn't slide out, and I don't really have to adjust anything down here to make it work. Where this one, it always just feels like my pinky is just sliding too much and there's too much kind of movement in there without that loop. That's just a personal preference thing. I love that loop. I would put it on every glove that I personally buy and custom order if I can, if it's like an option. Just I feel it locks my finger in there a bit more, so that is a difference there. The other difference is the strapping here, which is the boa. I'm gone over this with every Brian's glove I've reviewed recently and like for a while. I just don't like boa. I find it adds pressure points, and I just like the normal customization options and strapping options of this. Just again, personal preference thing, and do what you want for that. Also, to get this out of the way really quick, closure on this. So this is the Pro Palm, and it closes very good. This is broken in more now than when I got it. It did take me a bit more. Brian's does have an option too to do extra closure. So they have a machine that basically just pushes this close, open and close, open and close. And I believe it puts a towel in here too. Ask for that as an option when you're doing it. I don't think it costs more, but it is an option on there. So do it. I think I forgot to do it on this one, and that's why it was a little less broken in when I got it. But since I've been using this one pretty regularly recently, I've been able to close it pretty good, and the closure is very good for a Pro Palm. And we go to the Game Ready, and which is just the stock off the shelf, and closure is very good as well. It definitely feels a bit softer just over here when you're closing in everything, but this one is less broken in than what that one is. So this closes a little bit easier, or pretty close, with 0 break-in, so that's pretty impressive. Brian's gloves have been always really good off the shelf for closure and break-in. So again, no difference here, and it feels really good. So if you watched all my videos on the pads and the blocker, this is gonna sound like a broken record, but we have my custom graphic glove anyway, so I can talk about it a little bit here. I liked the overall graphics. I thought it was pretty interesting. When I did the custom color choice for this and design, it literally took me 1 iteration. And I was like, wow, I really like that. I don't want to change it. I went back and tried to make a bunch of other ones to try to change this and make it different. And I ended up just not finding one that I liked more. I just really liked that first one, and I went with it. Now, with that said, I like the graphic. The graphic never really matches the blocker, and it's kind of annoying, and Brian's has done this in the past. And specifically, we'll grab this other one to take a look at. And what I mean by that is if this was red, then this part won't turn red. It's actually this piece right here that turns red on their customizer. And that's obviously not on the inside. This matches the pad perfectly. This doesn't. This is kind of opposite, right? This little jaggy edge is always pointing on the inside of your goalie pads. And on the blocker, on this, it's always pointing that way, basically. I mean, it's sort of pointing inwards there, but it's still not, like it's not the same. And it's kind of bothers me how these lines are all in like a totally different direction when you look at it like that. Obviously, this is a personal preference thing, and it doesn't really matter overall. I had to do it on my Brian's gloves before, where just to get like the blues at top, this graphics actually switch from the customizer. Normally blues down here and reds up there, but I wanted the blues always at the top of the gloves and kind of the reds on the outsides and kind of the bottom. So I put that on there for the outside and the red here and kind of switch it up so when it's in a hand position it's like that. But it's kind of the same ththing here where it doesn't match exactly and it's sort of annoying. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And to be honest, I love the look of this glove. I think it looks pretty solid with my non-matching Vaughn pads and Bauer blocker, but it just, I couldn't make it match this the way I think it should look in your stance. But again, nitpick, the graphic itself looks pretty good. You have a good option of clean designs and very busy designs. This one's a pretty busy one, but you can section it off pretty well to get some good like cleaner looking things on there. Just like if you wanted to do just black here or black here, stuff like that, you can do that. And I think it's an overall good design, but matching is kind of iffy, but again, personal preference. So now we're going to compare kind of the features and the differences between the GNetik V and the Optik 2. This will also kind of go over all the features that are in this glove. So I'll talk about some of the changes that are new on this compared to the old one. So we'll kind of cover that as well. The big thing when we look at these two gloves kind of side by side is kind of the shape. Specifically, the big difference I notice is the fingers. You can definitely see how much more sloped these fingers are. And this isn't me like the fingers being folded in or anything. It's just kind of how this glove is. It does have a more slope to it, where this one is very flat. So that whole piece right there is very flat, while the thumb angle is honestly like pretty similar in terms of flatness. It's not crazy flat, but this one might be a little bit flatter here and less like sloped in, where this one might be a little bit sloped more, but it honestly feels very similar from this aspect. And like when using it, the thumb itself though honestly feels like it looks pretty similar in terms of flatness, and you can kind of see it right there. And I'm not saying the thumb angle is the same, but like that, how it kind of slopes off of the board and kind of down, honestly looks really similar. Play wise, I think this one might slope a little bit better into the pocket. I'm not sure if that's just because of the whole angle and how it works on your hand, or if that is slightly more like sloped into the pocket. But I feel like this glove as a whole kind of feels a lot flatter than this one does, and this one feels more scooped, but I'll talk about that kind of later on. And the cuff like right here looks very similar as well. And when you put it side by side like this, again, very, very similar, maybe a little more slope on the GNetik, but honestly, when I'm wearing it, it doesn't really feel like that. It doesn't feel like it's more sloped or anything. It feels pretty similar, but you can see kind of the similarities on these two gloves. But they do, when you actually wear them and close them, I feel the differences are pretty substantial, and they really feel different that way. And you can see the cuff right here as well. You have that slope design. And when we go on the other side, just to see where it is there. So the one thing to make note of this glove is that this one does have their Bri-core in it, so it's supposedly to stiffen this up. I don't know exactly where it is. They said it was in the cuff. I'll overlay a picture of kind of what it is in Brian's description of it. With that said, someone mentioned that it's also in the fingers and that the fingers are stiffer, but these fingers are honestly like, they bend pretty easy. They're pretty soft. Like this part is all pretty soft. It's not like a hard piece. It doesn't move. It is stiffer right here, so I'm not sure if that part is reinforced, but even then you can flex it, as you can see. So it's not like this is crazy stiff and feels like there's a hard plastic or something in there that's not moving it. It's pretty soft overall. Other thing to note on this side is the T's too. When you flatten the T out, it does flatten out, and you can kind of see the back side of it, especially when you go really flat like that. That's kind of a thing with Brian's T's, and you can see kind of where it does it right there. So you get kind of a similar idea in shape. Kind of see that right there as well. And I have noticed with these tees is I miss pucks with it, and pucks it here. So I've noticed with this one specifically, and when you're kind of opening it fully, you can kind of see how you kind of lose, especially if your glove isn't like angled directly like that. If it's a little tilted, you do lose some of that area of catching. And unlike some other gloves where it's kind of, I'll try to get an example of it, where you flatten it out and it kind of angles in still, it's not angled in and you get the outside, and it does happen where I have had pucks hit that all the time. And that's not just me like missing pucks in a RVH or something. That was me literally going for catches and stuff just kind of hitting there. So as you can see, when you flatten it out, it kind of goes like that. I don't know if just like kind of pulling this in will do a change to that for the better. Doesn't totally look it, or if they have to kind of adjust this so it doesn't break right there so you get that view. But that is kind of what happens with Brian's gloves, and it's kind of a feature that happens with Brian's gloves. If I didn't notice me hitting more pucks with this than other gloves, I wouldn't have really brought it up and said it at all, but I have noticed that happening. Now I have to say, Factory Mad was someone who I talked about how they replace tees on gloves and do their special tee design. Specifically, Brian's gloves cost more to do because they have to change just how this is something about the tee specifically, so it doesn't do this anymore. And I noticed this happening basically. So I would like to see this change somehow so that doesn't kind of flatten out totally and you still get something like that with a full extension. Just because, like I said, I wouldn't bring this up if I didn't notice it, and I absolutely noticed it going through here. And it's not as bad on the GNetik, but honestly, it's still quite a bit there, and that's quite a lot. And I don't notice that as much on other gloves I use. This one was the worst I've noticed. And obviously when I go between different glove breaks like these, the pocket's on a little different angle, how your hand sits in gloves is a little different. So it takes a bit to get it used to and adjusted. But this is, again, something I noticed or something I wanted to call out. Moving on to the backside is also where there is a big change on these two gloves. I'm gonna ignore this like mesh stuff on here because honestly, you can just opt it off and it's not a big thing. But just how the glove attaches is pretty different. And while it does kind of look like a similar idea, this opens up in a different way. So we'll open it up and kind of give you an idea. You have one piece of Velcro right here, second one right here, and third one right here. And it opens like that with it kind of turning, and you can see kind of the insides, where this one has that Velcro loop right here that you undo, and then one right here, and then one right here, and the whole thing opens up like this. So personally, I like the Optik better for this, just because you can open it more and you can get it in here so it breathes more. You can adjust things easier, but you can also clean it a little bit better. I can squirt my like anti-smell stuff in here, and it's a little better than what's in here because you can see this is kind of stuck in there. So I do like this opening a bit better than what this is, but overall it's not a huge deal. Both of these gloves do have Sure Grip in it, as you can see there, and as you can see all through here and right here. But I don't recall if that's a stock option on the Optik 2 or if that's something I had done. I like Sure Grip on the material, even though this isn't the super grippiest Sure Grip out there anymore. The true one is a bit grippier. It's still a nice material, and I like it better than just a standard Nash. And that is on both, as you can see through here. And this one is a totally stock glove for that. And your strapping is similar as well. You have the finger here. This would go away for a BOA system as well as this. So it would be a really similar design overall. And then you just have your thumb piece in there, which again, very similar design to each other. It's a piece of plastic kind of wrapping around there. Same there, that one feels a little bit less like it's rounded. For the catching glove, one thing I want to call out that Brian's does, and I mentioned how it has Sure Grip in there, which I like, which is an option. It does have these Hexair little pieces right here and on the inside. I love this. It's like a Nash, but it's super soft and super comfortable, and I love putting it like right here. It just feels really nice, and it feels nice back here too. I just really like that material, and I like them using it there, and it's something Brian's has that's pretty unique to them, and I really love that, and so I wanted to call it out. So before we get into the funness, which is closure and break angle, if you want to support the channel and you live in Canada, check out the link in the description to Hockey Supremacy. Clicking that link and making a purchase gives me a kickback, so I keep making videos like this one and making more content. Everything through there comes always back into the channel, and it'll be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to get flamed for this, but I always see people suggesting Brian's gloves compared to other companies' gloves for break angles and like the closure. Brian's does their own measurements for things. I think this is a 35 degree. I don't care what they measure it as, because it's every company does it like slightly differently, and it's confusing and annoying. So here's what I'm going to say. I will compare these to the direct competitors of what people say, and we'll kind of look at it that way. A lot of people I've seen online say this plays like a CCM 600, so like a 75 degree break, and people say this plays like a CCM 590, which is a 60 degree break. So a 590 and a 60 degree break is basically this. This is a JRZ Fusion. This is basically the evolution of a 1X. It's a CCM 590. So The way that this closes, and the easiest way to close this, is thumb to index finger. So basically closing like this. That's what happens when you close this glove like that. So if I try to close the glove from like here to here, it doesn't close as well. Thumb to index finger, it closes very easily. That's how that closes. Now this glove, which people were saying is like a CCM 590, should have the same closer. So if I go thumb to index finger, which is like right here, but same thing, that's how that glove closes. Now if I do thumb to here, that's how that glove closes. Now this isn't me trying to make this glove close bad. This is me squeezing my hand from here to here. That's how that closes. From here to here, that's how that closes. Now, if we take a CCM 600, this is a clone of a CCM 600, and we do here to here, same closure. So that's thumb to middle finger, same closure. Thumb to index, no closure. Thumb to middle, same closure. Again, not me trying to make this seem like better. I'm not cheating this. I have no game in this. I'm just trying to give people the right information. So here's where it gets weird because the GNetik, we'll see. So thumb to index, perfect closure. Thumb to middle, perfect closure. Index, perfect. Middle, perfect. Index, middle. So the reason being is just because of how easy this glove is, and I'll kind of talk about in a second of what this glove kind of closes like. But as you should be able to see from this, Optik 2, thumb to middle, more like a 600, thumb to index, 590. And that's not me breaking in different. I'm sure if you crush this glove, it can close like that, how you want it to, the thumb to index. But natural, it's thumb to middle. And this one, natural, is more thumb to index. Again, 600, thumb to middle. These two are more similar. These two, CCM 590, 60 degree, is kind of closer to this. Now, with that said, I mentioned this is kind of a weird glove because it kind of works all the time. Now, naturally, when I wear this glove and want to close it, it's thumb to index. Now, I can do it the other way, which is thumb to there. It's not quite as natural feeling. Thumb to index is really how to make it snappy and really close really easily, and it feels most natural. Now, I don't feel like this glove closes like some other gloves and kind of plays like some other gloves. Specifically, I'm not going to say more modern gloves, but specifically gloves I've used recently and that do certain things. So let me talk about that really quickly. So I did a review on a True 580, which this is a clone of a True 580. And the thing that was very amazing to me of the 580 is that every puck that hit this pocket, just like this, especially hard shots, would basically force the glove to close itself. So it would hit the pocket and the glove would just kind of close. It was pretty interesting and pretty great for that. Everything here basically went into the pocket as well because of how sloped that is. It was a great catching glove. It's a pretty unique feeling, but definitely anything that hit that pocket, force it closed. Now, anything that hits anywhere here basically always ramps into this pocket, and this pocket is massive and it just gobbles up pucks. You don't have to squeeze the glove to catch it. It just catches it, it goes in there, and it's really good for that. Anything here just felt like it always ran straight in there. This is one of the best, like almost accidental puck catching gloves I use. Basically what I mean by that is if you don't see it and you don't squeeze and it just hits something, it's staying in there and going in there because of the shape, and it was I think it's pretty well done in that sense. This glove feels totally opposite of both of those. Now, pucks that went into here, and I did tests on this. I compared this pocket with this pocket to see if it really made a difference, and I'll overlay some of the shots. On this, I noticed zero difference whatsoever. The glove didn't close more. The glove didn't really catch up pucks better. The puck stayed in pretty good regardless, so it kind of didn't make a difference there. And it didn't definitely snap the glove shut. I also noticed pucks didn't necessarily always drive into the pocket from here. I've noticed quite a bunch of pucks that hit this and bounce out. The hit here and stuff, it's going to bounce out anyways, but kind of the same with like down here. It's not like the best type of glove to hit this and everything is going to go in there. Like I said, that's super flat, as you can see, and unlike some other gloves where it's like sloped into it a bit and you have that extra kind of ridge right there, this one's not the biggest sloping one, but a glove like this where you can definitely see how it slopes inwards, this one plays and feels very flat, like a flat surface all the way through. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just a different style of glove. What I noticed with this glove is I had to be very active with it, and I had to make a lot of active catches with it. Now, when you're still making blocking saves like the side of you and going through a screen, puck hits there, it tends to stay and it does an okay job for it. Again, not the best, but it's decent. But what I did notice is I was making a ton of reactive catches. And now I can't really show this on here, but I'll show some footage of it, where I have to reach for pucks. I have to be active with it. I have to close it. But when you're doing that, it works very well. With this flat kind of palm design and more flat thumb design compared to some other companies. So when you look at like how flat this is, especially when you're going out, like it rolls in, but it's not like a 90-degree angle. You compare it to this, where it just like drops right in. This glove does something that I feel is really good compared to some other gloves, which is anything like on here, you squeeze, you catch. So I notice catching a ton just in there, and not necessarily in the pocket, but might be here, might be a little deeper, but catching it like that as well, and catching it like this. So when I was reactive on it and actually like actively trying to catch gloves, I'm gonna say kind of like a baseball glove, because you're not allowing it just to like run in. This glove was really, really good for it and really enjoyable to use. Something that it took me a bit of use to get used to. I wore this a couple times in some training sessions that I unfortunately didn't get video footage for, but I noticed I was missing pucks a lot more with it. Took me a bit, got in, and then I realized kind of what I had to do with it, and I was catching a lot more with it, and I was pretty happy with how much I was catching with it. The other thing I noticed this was really good for catching with is like next to your ear. So I found a lot of times, like this glove, for example, I have a hard time when you're trying to like go like this and catch it next to your ear. Bad time with this glove for that. And finally, like not a great time with this glove for that. With this thing, anything next to my ear, it felt so much easier to catch. I don't know if it's more because of that, it feels like more reactive and you have to kind of move more with it and don't let the puck go in. But I found like something about this closure and how it's so like honestly flat. When going next to my head, I caught it, and it felt a lot like really natural to me, and it feels like a totally different style of glove and how you are like using your hand compared to a lot of other gloves that I've used and other companies I've used. Basically, especially compared to everything else on this table, even the Optik 2. While I liked the Optik 2 and I enjoyed using it, and it was one of my go-to gloves earlier in the year, this thing just feels like it's a real active catching glove, and I feel I'm much more confident using this glove than I am with this glove. And that's, again, no issues with this glove overall, but this one was just a little bit better, and I feel just a little bit nicer in that regards. And I love using it. The other thing I noticed, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, I'm good at that with whatever glove it is anyways, that's fine. Something I'm really good with this is when I'm catching it and being able to play the puck afterwards. So catching it, throwing the puck away, like really quickly to someone, it's super responsive. I always know where it is. I don't know if it's like just because of the pocket shape, like you can see it here, that pucks don't get like stuck in it or something. But anytime I did, the puck would instantly come out where I wanted it to. I felt like I was able to be a really reactive, specifically glove portion like user, compared to when I'm normally like a blocking style goalie. With this thing though, it felt like everything was just so much more reactive and more like able to move around and do things with. And that's really impressive to me, and I really, really enjoyed this glove. But again, with that said, there are some spots where it doesn't work better than other ones. Low on the pad, if you're just blocking and you're kind of getting your glove like this on top of your pad, trying to just block things, it doesn't eat pucks like something like this does. This one just angles it better, as well as something like this where it just angles better, and that's just kind of how it is. I also felt like stick grip with this was pretty good, just because it's so flat and it's not like the rounded part. It does feel like you can get a really good grip of the stick because there's more of the glove on it. And while I'm not a pro shooter or anything, I had zero issues doing this, and I felt like it was in control and one of the better gloves in control, just because of how flat that is and like how much more the stick is being held when you're using it. Now, T-seal and overall puck retention. Simple test, put it on here, squirt around, see if it comes out. It doesn't. Yes, that's loud, so sorry, but it doesn't come out. It holds in pretty good. Even on the heel, it holds in pretty good. Even on the top, it holds in pretty good, so it doesn't really matter where you put the weight. Super easy to pick up. One of the easiest gloves I find to do anything with, just because of the shape and everything. And it does almost feel more like an oven mitt than a glove, just how that closes. And it's pretty impressive, to be honest. Now, protection. Brian's, I don't know what Brian's has specifically done. They're basically really, really good and interesting for protection. The glove isn't super stiff everywhere. Like you can fold and bend it everywhere. Right here on the actual break, like it feels like it's so thin. You look at it and it looks like it's so thin. It's like, wow, okay. And when you can basically feel the cord with your finger underneath. So like I can feel that cord going in right there. And it's like, wow, that feels, and you can even like push it up. You can push it up right here. You can like push that up and it doesn't feel like there's anything there. And yet for this glove, I've had like zero issues with protection on it. This is the Pro Palm. The Game Ready one, I did feel a little bit more, but the Pro Palm closes so good. And the first time I had my Optik 2 and my GNetik 4 with the Pro Palm, I was like, there's no way that this is a Pro Palm. They screwed this up. I legitimately thought they screwed up my GNetik 4 because it was so thin and closed so easy and felt so good. I thought that they forgot it. They didn't. Protection was solid. Obviously, you're going to feel pucks if you get it right there. You feel pucks on that on any glove. Maybe not the thickest practice palms in the world, but you feel it anywhere. You feel a little bit right there. Thumb has been totally fine. Me using this glove, I'm never worried about it. You can feel just a tiny bit, but the closure is so good and it's so easy to close and it feels so amazing. I don't know how Brian's does this, but some way how they're angling this break basically makes it feel super thin. It gives it a super great ability to be able to close like that. It's super impressive and feels like it's not protective just from wearing it, which says how good it feels and how smooth it feels. But I've had zero issues with it whatsoever, and I'm really happy with these Pro Palms. I'm like, it's great, and like I said, I'm happy with the Pro Palm. Talking about the anchor tee versus like a two-piece tee or a single tee, I don't know if it does anything different. I wanted to try the anchor tee because I thought it looked kind of awesome with how much like skate laces in there and just how little tee there actually is. But again, when I compared it with this one, I never really noticed a difference with the puck machine. It kind of felt like it did the exact same thing, but I love the look of this. So I would probably go with an anchor tee again. I originally thought it closed a little bit worse when I first got it. You can see the tip on this one does close a little bit better than what this one does, but it's not a huge thing. And I like the look of it, and I would probably keep going back to an anchor tee just because I'm weird and enjoy how that looks. But I can't really tell if it makes a massive difference. I haven't been able, if I got a single tee and was really able to run this through the paces more, maybe I would. But with this, it felt fine, and it does feel like the pocket, anything in the pocket stays in the pocket. But again, did it with this one too, so it wasn't just this anchor tee and this webbing or the skate lace in there that did the difference. So unfortunately, I can't really comment on which one would be better there. Just gotta kind of go with what you think you like looks better, or if you have experiences with it, what one you like more than another. So that's about it for the Brian's GNetik V goalie glove review. So mine, Pro Palm, the stock one was a Game Ready, but I really only used the Pro Palm. I am very impressed with this glove. The first time I grabbed it out, I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I felt like something felt different than my 4, specifically that reactive feeling and how it closed easier. When I first put this on and wore it for a few times, I felt like it felt more stiff and kind of blocky. So I was wondering if it was like that Bri-core changed something. But after using it a bit more and kind of, it's not like fully broken in, but it's super closes really easy, and getting used to it, and I guess breaking it in just a little bit, it feels like an awesome glove. So huge props to Brian's. I'm a huge fan of this glove. Very happy I bought one for this pink and blue set, and I will be using it for probably quite a while in the future. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for Brian's for lending me their demo set so I can make content on and do stuff with. I obviously bought this set myself, but Brian's was generous enough to send the glove blocker and pad so I could do reviews on the entire line. So huge thank you for that. If you want to see me review gear kind of like this thing, please reach out to manufacturers on social media like Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. Let them know you want to see me do reviews on their stuff. Helps me, so hopefully I can grab some demo sets in the future and talk about gear like that. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok, links in the descriptions. Have any comments, let me know below. Like the video, helps that too. And if you want to help support the channel, you're buying hockey equipment anyways, you're in Canada, check out Hockey Supremacy. In the US, check out Pure Hockey, links in the description. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback, helps support the channel so I keep making more content like this and doing more videos. Otherwise, Patreon, buy me a coffee, links in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.